Hi guys, welcome to this new video. In this video, I will be talking about the latest technology called Bun. They have released the version 1.0, which is stable, means that we can use it in our projects. So I would say that Bun is an improved version of Node, means it is much faster. It includes a lot of features that were not by default included in Node. So in this video, I want to mainly talk about how we can create a REST APIs using Bun built-in functions. And also I will be talking about how we can integrate Express in Bun. But before that, I want to talk about what is it and what makes it special. How is it different from Node? Alright, so let's talk about Bun. What do we have inside it? So Bun is an all-in-one JavaScript runtime and toolkit designed for speed, complete with a bundler, test runner, and Node.js compatible package manager. So let me show you what do I mean by that. So first of all, Bun starts and run faster. According to the documentation of Bun, it is 30 times faster than Node. As we know that Node is a V8 runtime, but Bun is written in a language called Zig and it uses JavaScript core, which makes it much faster than Node. And it comes with a built-in package manager, bundler, and the test runner. In Node, we had npm node package manager. Here we have Bun install that installed all the dependencies added in package.json file. And then we have this Bun add. In order to install a single package, we can remove a package, we can update any package. And we have a built-in command for building our Bun project by providing an out directory called build or any other name you want to give it to. In Node, we had to use Webpack or some other package manager to build our project. And in Bun, we have this command bun test. This runs the tests and it supports Jest by default. Next, we have a support of TypeScript by default in Bun, means that we can run JS files, TypeScript files, JSX and the TSX files, means we can use Bun in front-end apps in Next.js or React as well, which was not by default added in Node. We had to install different packages to configure TypeScript in Node applications. And we have a support of import statements and required statements by default in Bun. And as I've already told you that Bun install is almost 30 times faster than npm install. The reason is that it uses global module cache to avoid redundant downloads, means that we have a lot of dependencies added in package.json files, but all those dependencies might have their own dependencies which might be redundant. So it uses the cache to avoid redundant download in node_modules folder. So Bun supports two kinds of auto reloading. You know that in Node, we had to install nodemon. Whenever we make any change in the file, we had to rerun the server, but nodemon enable the server auto rerun, which is by default added in Bun. We don't need to install nodemon. So how we can do that? One way is to add the flag of --watch along with the command when running any file. So it hard restarts Bun's process when imported files change, and it can be used along with the test as well, means that unit tests. So we make any change in the test file and it will automatically rerun the tests command to give us the result. And the next command is bun-hot index.ts, so which soft reloads the code without restarting the process. It is quite effective and quite beneficial. During development, we will be using --watch, but we can use this --hot whenever we want the front end to not to auto flicker or auto restart the process. So it quickly updates the changes whenever we make in the code of Bun, and it updates in internal module cache with the new code whenever we use this hot flag. So it supports almost all built Node packages like the FS package, HTTP, and all other built-in Node packages. Along with that, it gives us its own packages for the similar purpose, which are much faster than the Node packages. So in Bun, we have this .file function, which is used to do file handling. We have .serve, which is used to create server, and more functions which are built in Bun. You can check out its documentation. So I have introduced you briefly what is Bun, how is it different from Node. Now it's time to create a Bun project and create a REST API. So these are the commands. We have to install Bun globally in our system using npm install -g bun, and then we can verify which version of Bun we have installed. Then we can create a new project by running this command bun init -y, and it will create package.json file and few other files that it will support. And then we can create the bun index.ts file. Whatever we will be writing code in this file, we can run the code using this command bun index.ts. So let's create a new project and create REST APIs using bun. Alright, so I've opened up the VS Code and I've already installed Bun globally in my system. Make sure you have the latest version of npm installed in your system. So you have to write npm install -g and Bun. It will install globally in your system. Once it gets installed, we need to create a new Bun project. So I will be writing bun init -y. Okay, so I'll hit enter. So it's going to get started, and how quickly it has actually downloaded these packages, bun types, and how quickly it has created these files. So in Node, we did not have all these files automatically created, but in Bun, we have this readme file, tsconfig file automatically generated because it supports TypeScript by default, which I have already explained you. Okay, so this is the file. Now, before actually start writing and creating a server, let me run this file and see if it's working fine. So I'll be writing bun index.ts. I'll hit enter. So it has actually printed hello via bun. So it's working fine and our bun command is working fine. Now let's create a small server first using bun. So in this file, I will start off creating a variable const server, and I'm using bun with a capital B dot serve. Okay, so it is giving us an object. Inside this object, we first need to give it a port. So I can give any port. I'm giving 4000. Okay, and after this, I have this built-in function fetch, and this fetch function actually triggers whenever we run this server on the browser. Okay, so we can return something from here. So I'm going to write return new response, and I can return any string, let's say the 404. Okay, and let me log this server so that we know that our server is running. So I'm going to write the console log server is running on port server.port. So this will create a simple server using bun. So let's run this file. So I've cleared my terminal and I've run this index.ts file. So our server is running on port 4000. Let's go to the browser and see if we see this 404 printed on the browser or not. So I've opened up localhost colon 4000, and you can see that this is a string which is printed over here, means that our server is running perfectly. So in the code, first of all, I want to add some scripts because I want my server to auto run whenever I make some changes in this file. So I'll come over here. I will start off creating a scripts, and this will give me an object, and inside this script I will create start key, and I will write bun run index.ts. Okay, and after that let me run dev. So in the dev I will write bun -- watch and index.ts. Okay, this will be the command that I will be running to auto reload the process, and then I can actually write the debug command. I will show you how we can debug our bun project as well. So I will be writing bun inspect index.ts. Okay, so in the terminal I'm going to write bun run and the start command, actually the dev command that has this watch flag over here. I'll hit enter. So it has shown me bun watch command is running and server is running on port 4000, and it is still running perfectly. All right, so let's close it now. And in here, first of all, I'm going to show you how we can create environment variable. So I'm going to add an env file .env. In this env file, I'm going to create a port equals to 4000. Let's save it. Let's close it. And here I used to write process.env.port, but in bun we can write bun .env.port and it will work fine. I'll save it. Let me rerun the server just to show you. So our server is running on port 4000. Now the 4000 is coming from that env file, and it's always a good practice to write colon like 8000 something like that. When port is not available, then we have to have some kind of port available over here. All right, so 4000 it's running. Let's refresh. So our server is running perfectly fine. Now I want to write some code inside this fetch function and create different APIs having different routes. So to create different routes, first of all, I need to fetch the URL from the browser. And in order to get that, I'm going to get the URL from the new URL, and I can write a request.url. Request object is coming from this fetch function. Okay. And then I can write if conditions to check that what is the path name. So if the path name is this home directory, means there is no path after the port, then we can actually return something. So return new response, and inside it we can return home page. Okay, so let's save it and let's go to our browser and refresh. And now you can see that it has given us the home page because this is the home route, the default route. Let's create another route. I want to show you how we can return the JSON data whenever an API is hit from the front end browser. Okay, so I'm going to write url.pathname, and let's say that this is the /JSON. Okay, so inside it we can actually get the data, construct the data first. So I can write json.stringify, and inside it I can have the status if I want to pass it. So let's say I want to pass 200 status, and then I want to pass the message. So this is JSON data. This is JSON data. All right. So this has been constructed along with the status and the message. And after that, I simply needs to return the response with the data. But along with the data, I have a second object, and inside it, I need to pass the headers. And inside the headers, I need to provide it the content type application JSON. I need to add the colon at the end. I have to add the curly braces as well. Okay, so let's save it, and this will return us the JSON data. So let's go to browser and I will write /JSON. I'll hit enter, and now you can see that it has returned us the JSON data. So our API of /JSON is working perfectly. Now let's create another path, and in this path I will be fetching the data from the file, and then I will be returning the data of that file. And I just showed you that we have the bun.file function that we can use. So in here I'm going to create a new file, and let's say file.txt, and inside it this is file data. Okay, let's close it, and inside this index.ts file, let me just copy that if statement that I have written above, and I can write the file over here or anything you want. And I don't need all of these stuff. I don't need to construct the data here, and here I'm going to return the data using the bun.file and simply give the path of that file which I have created. And I'm going to remove everything like the headers because I'm not returning any JSON data. So let's save it, and I'm going to write the file over here. All right, so our file data have been fetched, and this is being shown and returned to the client. Okay, next I want to show you how we can return the data from the API in the formatted HTML form. Okay, so I'm going to write URL path name, and I'm going to write a blog over here. Okay, so for this I'm going to write return new response, and I don't want this blog actually. Here I want to pass the h1 and blog page, and let's close the h1. But in the second param for this response, I need to pass the status, which is 200, and then I need to pass the header, and header will be of type content type application /JSON, but I want to pass text /HTML. All right, so let's save it, and now let's run this /blog over here. So let's see over here, we have this HTML running with the h1 tag. So it's looking pretty cool. And whenever we want to create an API that returns the formatted email to different users, this is how we can set different headers and pass the different data. And also we want to fetch the HTML completely from a file. We can fetch the data like this and then return the data over here by adding the status and header to the text HTML, and this will return the HTML formatted data to the client. All right, so next I want to show you how we can actually use the third-party packages in Bun. So first of all, I'm going to install those packages over here in the terminal. And let's say that I want to install a chalk package. This package actually returns or print the console data in the colorful format. So I can use the bun command in the terminal. Bun, let me clear this first so you can see. So I can write bun add and I can write the chalk. I'll hit enter. So how quickly it has actually installed it from the internet and added its reference over here. This is what you can see. So in index.ts file, let's import this. So I'm going to write the import chalk from chalk package. Okay. So I'm going to create another API. So I can write the if URL path and let's say the color. Okay. So inside it, we can actually print the data in the colorful format in our terminal. So I'm going to write the console dot log and I can write the chalk dot yellow. Inside it, I can pass any string. So colorful message. All right. So let me also return it to the client so that we don't stuck on the browser. So I'm going to write return new response and then I can write the check console. All right. So let's save it. Let me run the server as well in my terminal. So bun run dev. So it's running quickly. Let's go to our browser and I'm going to write the color over here. And it has printed check console, and in the console we have this message in the form of yellow color. The purpose of this API is to show you how we can use the different packages like chalk or other packages in Bun. Now I want to show you how we can debug our Bun application, as I've already created this command. So let's run this command in the terminal. So I'm going to write bun run and then the debug, which is the name I've already provided. I'll hit enter and it has provided me this URL which I need to click on. I will press the command option on my Mac and it has opened up a different window on my Chrome browser and it will show me this file. So we have these files added, bun index.ts file. All right, let me try zoom in a bit. It's not getting zoomed in, I don't know why, but you can actually make your screen bigger if you want to see that. So I can add different breakpoints over here. So let's say that I want to stop the execution of program over here. I've added it, and after clicking on it, I can actually hit that particular URL. So I can write over here. So let's hit over here. So it has stopped over here, and once it is stopped, we can actually hover over different variables that what values are being generated, and on the right side we can see all the different variables as well, different functions and different variables which are getting generated at this particular state. Now I want to show you how we can add and configure Express.js to create REST APIs along with the proper folder structure for models, controllers and different stuff in Express. So in the terminal, I want to create a new project for this. So in the terminal, I'm going to create a new project using Bun. So I will be writing bun init-y. I'll hit enter. So it's going to create these files quickly. So I'm going to open up the package.json file. First of all, I just want to add the scripts which I've already shown you what these scripts do. One is for start, dev and the debug. And also I want to install the Express. So I will be writing bun add Express in the terminal. So it's going to install Express and add its reference over here in the dependencies object. So I'm going to open up this index.ts file and I'm going to import the Express and I will start creating the APIs inside it. So first of all, let me remove this and I want to import the express, and also I want to import the request and response as the data type for the different APIs. Because I'm using TypeScript, I want to give the type for the request and the response. In JavaScript, we don't need these kind of stuff. Okay, so from, and then I can write the express. All right, so what it's showing, all imports in declaration are unused, so we'll be using this just now. All right, so first of all, I need to create an app using express, so I can call an express function. Express is being used, and now I can create a port. So I can write a port equals to bun.env.port, or I can write the 4000. Let me create an env file quickly. So it will be added over here. So this has been added. Yes. And now I want to actually use this app variable, and I can create different functions. So I can write app.get, and it's going to give me this function, and it's going to give me this request response object, and I can close this over here. And inside it, I can actually write the response.status, which is 200, and then I can write a response, and then I can pass different data to the client. Okay, so hello from express in bun. Okay, and we can pass some more data as well if we want to. Currently we don't have any data, so along with the request and response, we can give these variable types, okay, which I have imported above. This is how express works. I've already created videos on express, you can check out that if you don't know the TypeScript actually. Okay, so here I'm going to run the server, but first of all I need to listen this express server using the app.listen function, and inside it I can pass the port, and then I can use the arrow function. Let me log this out. So console.log server is listening on port, and I can write port number over here, port. All right, so let's save it. Let's run this file using the bun run dev. So it's listening on 4000. Let's go to the browser. So in the browser, this API is working perfectly using express, and we have this message and the empty data is being added over here. All right, so let's create few more APIs. I want to show you how to create the CRUD APIs, like adding a new node, creating a new node, editing and deleting the node, and adding the proper folder structure for the controllers and the routes. So if you want to create large projects, you should have an idea how to do that. Before this, if you really want to learn the express along with the MongoDB with the advanced feature like the authorization, authentication, security, and the protection and advanced level of the folder structure, I've already created 42 videos on my channel. So this is my channel, this is the playlist. You can go and learn the express MongoDB by watching the complete bootcamp of this Node Express MongoDB tutorial series. So let's create a new API. So I go down and I will write app.get, and I will name this API /API/ nodes. Okay, and then I will start off with the async function, because I will be using an await keyword under this object. So I will write request, response, and then this object. So inside it, I need to fetch the data. Currently, this is the basic tutorial. I'm not using any real database. So for getting the data, I'll be using and creating a new file over here, and that will be the JSON file. So I will write nodes.json. So in this file, I will be pasting some data that we can actually use as the data for the database, a mock data you can say. Okay, so it has the title and the description, and I will be modifying this data by adding, editing, and deleting different objects of the nodes in this file. All right, so in this API, I will start off writing and fetching the data from this file, considering that it is a DB. Okay, so first of all, I can write the const result equals to, and I will be using the bun file function. So bun.file, And in here, I can start off writing the nodes.json, which is in the same directory where I have this index.ts file. And after that, I need to give it a type. Okay. In the bun.js file, I need to provide the application slash JSON. All right. So this result is going to give us this data. It's going to fetch that out. Now I want to convert this particular data in the form of JSON. So for that, I'll be writing the await keyword, and I can write the result.json. All right. And then I can actually use this command. Let's copy this line, and I can actually return some message, whatever we want to return. And inside this data, rather than having an array, I'll be passing nodes. Okay, so let's save it. It is automatically refreshed the server, and I'm gonna go open up the browser and run API/nodes. Here I will be writing /API/nodes. All right, so we are able to fetch the complete data of that file. So this API for fetching the data is working fine. Let's create a post API now to add a new node in this. And the post request cannot be tested in the browser. I'll be using Postman to test the post request. All right, so I'll be pasting this out. I'll change its name to post. And for posting a new data, I will be using the bun.file, and I need to write the same line of code. I don't need to change that, and I'll be keeping this line as well. Okay. And here in the request object, we have something called request.body, and request.body receives the data coming from the client side, which I'll show you by running this API from my Postman. I'll be passing a new object for a new node over here. All right, that will be having the title and then the description. All right, so here I will be using the nodes.push, and I will be getting the data from that request.body, which is coming from the client side, whoever is using this API. Okay, but before that, in Express, we need to add a middleware. Okay, learn the playlist, watch the playlist of Node Express MongoDB if you don't know what is middleware, advanced level of middlewares. So for that, I'll be using the built-in Express middleware called express.json. So I will be writing the app.use is the function, and I'll be writing express.json. Okay, if we don't write this, I will not be able to get the data using the request.body. Okay, so here I'm going to return, first of all, I need to write this data back in my file. This is a DB, consider that, and I need to update this DB, this array of all the nodes, with a new object over here. And bun gives us another function. So bun dot write, and inside it I need to provide the nodes.json. Okay, and then I need to give it a new data, so json.stringify and then the nodes. Okay, so this nodes is being updated with the complete array. Okay, I have fetch the complete array, then I have updated the complete array, then I am actually replacing the complete array of nodes with the new data over here. Okay, you can optimize this if you want. Okay, so success, and then I don't need to pass the data. I can simply return a success message that new node is added. All right, so now let's open up the Postman and test this out. So this is the Postman. I've already created different requests. We can create the folder and we can create a new request. We can select the method type, get, put, post, patch, delete, whatever we want. And this is the URL I'm calling. This is the get request. I can click on the send. Now let's go to the post request. In the post request, we have this URL API/nodes, but we have a different method post. And in the body, I clicked on this body, click on the raw, and then click on the JSON from here. And here I have actually added this object with the title and description, node and the node description. All right, so let's click on this send. All right, so it has returned us this message that new node is added, and it means that our API is working fine. Now let's go to our nodes.json file and see if that array is updated or not. All right, so it has been updated and new node is added in this array. Now we need to write an API for editing any node and deleting a node. So for editing, I'm going to copy paste this post request which I have created, and I'm going to change the method from post to patch. All right. So let's save it. And for editing, I want to pass the new data, and I want to pass the information that which node I want to edit actually. And for this, I'll be using this syntax slash colon, and usually we pass an id. Currently we have this dummy data, we don't have an id is the unique. Title can be duplicated, but I'll make sure that title is not duplicated. So I will be giving it a title over here. It can be different, it's just to receive the data coming from the client side, which is the postman currently we have. So this title is actually showing that this is the particular node which we want to update, and then request.body is going to receive the new data with which we want to update that particular node. Okay, so I want to keep this line, I want to keep this line as well, and we have this request.body which I want to store it in a new variable. Okay, and I don't want to waste your time in building up the logic, writing loops. I already assume that you're already aware of how to write the JavaScript or the TypeScript syntax. Okay, now I want to detect the node, that which node we want to update. So for that, I will be using the JavaScript built-in function called find. So nodes dot find node, and I'm matching that if the title matches with the title coming from that title. So this title we can actually get from the request dot params dot title. These names should be same. Okay, and this variable is actually storing the node which we want to update. All right, so after that I want to fetch the index of that particular node, where that particular node exists in this particular array, and for this I'm using the find index function and storing it in the node index file. Okay, and we can add the error handling as well. So for error handling, let's say that someone sent the title which is not existing, which is not found in this array, then we can actually add the error handling. For that we can check if node is not found, then we can return the response 400 that node with this title does not exist. All right, and after that I want to actually update the keys of that particular node with the new data coming from that client. Okay, and for this I'm using this for loop, and I'm getting the key value pair, and I have fetched the new data. And I hope that you have understood how to write the for loops and you are understanding its logic. All right, and after that I want to update the new node with that array. So nodes with this index and this node have been updated, and these nodes are updated over here. And after this I can write this bun dot write, and then the nodes, and then the json dot stringify new node, node have been edited or updated, whatever you want to return. All right, so I'm going to save this file now. I hope that everything is going to work well. So let's pass the title css. Okay, I want to change the description of this html to only the HTML description. Okay, let's see if it gets updated or not. So I'm going to go to this one, postman. I've already created this patch request. We can change the name from here as well. So let's say that the HTML description, I've added and updated the description over here, only one key. And this is how I'm passing the HTML from the top. Okay, let me zoom in. That's fine now. So this is how I'm passing the title. Make sure you spell it right. This is the HTML. We have not handled the case sensitive case over here. You can handle that as well. So we have to actually pass the H with the capital letter. Let's send. So node have been edited. All right, so there is no error, and let's go to the nodes.json file, and this has been updated. It's working pretty well. And lastly, I want to delete that particular note with the title. And again, I don't want to waste your time. I'll just copy pasting this particular route over here. So I have just added this delete request app.delete with the title, and I'm finding the index with I'm not passing any data from the client side, from the postman, because I only want to delete with this particular title. And here I am actually detecting the error, and I'm using the notes.splice with the note index, and it's going to delete that. All right. So now let's save it and let's try to delete this node object which we have added over here. All right, so let's open up that delete request. Okay, and this delete request have this node already added, and let's send. So node is deleted. Let's go over here, let's save it, and it has been deleted perfectly. So our APIs are working fine. Now quickly I want to show you how we can structure this code. If there are hundreds of APIs, it's not a right practice to actually write all of these APIs directly in one file or even in multiple files as well. We have to have a different folder structure mechanism to expand our project. So to refactor these routes, I'm going to start off separating out these functions. You can see that these are the separate functions over here, right? I'm going to store the references of all of these functions in separate variables. So first of all, let's go up, and I'm just going to cut this out, and I'm going to create a new variable above, and I'm going to write the get notes variable, and I'm going to paste this out over here. And I can actually add the reference of get notes like this. All right, and just like I have done with this get, I can do it with the post, patch, and delete as well. So I've created different functions for get, create, update, and delete over here as well. Let's verify on the postman if it's still working fine. And we have this get request send, and yes, it's working fine. I hope that others will work fine as well. I want to optimize it further, and that is actually required to create different folder structure for this. So first of all, I'm going to create a new variable. So nodes router equals to express.router, and then I'll be using the app.use slash API slash nodes, because this is the initial keywords matching in all of these routes. Okay, so that's why I'm using the initial keywords matched with it. So nodes router. Okay, and after this I want to use the nodes router to actually enable these routes to be available to the client, and whenever the server runs, these routes configuration should work. So I will be using the route, and then for first two routes we have only slash over here after this. So this will be automatically appended along with this. So I'm actually using this dot route function for first two APIs for get and post, and after this I can write the get, and inside it I can give it the get nodes function. Okay, and after this I can write the post function for the post request, and I can give it the create nodes function. So this line is actually doing the same things just as these couple of lines are doing, and this is actually required and essential for separating out these controller functions in different folder structure. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this one, and I'm going to paste this out, and here we have dot title as well for both of these patch and delete requests. So here I can actually write patch, and after this I can write delete method. So I can actually add these functions here as well, and after this I can actually comment this out. Let's save and rerun the server, and let's verify if it's still working fine or not. So I'm going to go into the postman. Let's try to hit this URL. So get request is working fine. Post will be working fine if get is working fine because of this configuration. Let's try to update this as well. So let's save it. So let's try to update this node description. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here, update this. Let's change it to the title to node. Okay, And in the description I want to change here the node. Currently we have this node desc only, so let's see if it gets updated or not. Okay, so let's send. So node have been edited, let's go, let's save it. So it has been updated, so our configuration for this is working fine, and we can delete this. Now we want to separate out these files, so for that I'm going to create few folders over here. So I'm just going to create a new folder, and I'm going to name this folder routes. Okay, and after that I'll be creating another folder parallel to that routes folder, and I'm going to give it a name controllers. Okay, and inside this folder I'm going to create a new file nodes controller.ts, and inside the routes I'm going to create a new file nodes routes.ts. Okay, so first of all what I need to do is I'm gonna open up this nodes controller, actually the index.ts file, and I want to move all of these functions out of these files to make this file look cleaner. Okay, so let's cut from here, let's save it, and let's paste everything from that file over here. All right, but from here I want to export this out, so exports dot. So let's copy this and paste it over here, here as well, and also here. All right, and you can see that it is actually giving an error for these request status objects. The reason is that I have to import this over here so that our request response object actually available over here. All right, so it has been moved, and I assumed we don't need to do anything else inside it. I need to actually move these things out of this file into the routes, so I can actually copy this, paste it over here, and also for this nodes router to work I also need to write this stuff. So express over here, we don't need request response, but let's add that over here. We have this one, and also I want to add this over here as well. Okay, so app, and then this express router, we have this app, and it will work for now. For this we are already exporting different functions from that file, so that we can actually import over here. So I can write import, and I can write get nodes from that, and we can have create node, we can have the update node, and then the delete node, which will be coming from dot controllers. From, we need to go one step up, we have the controllers, and then we have the nodes controller. So let's see what are these errors. I'm gonna go over here. All right, so actually we are using bun to actually make it supported. I'm going to write the const, and then before that I'm going to write export, and just like this I'm going to add these two keywords before every function over here. So I've added that, and now you can see the error is gone from here. So one last thing we need to do over here, actually we don't need that, I'll be using it in my index.ts file. I'll just remove that, and I just need to export it from here. So export default and nodes router. All right, and this is what we can import in our index.ts file, and inside it I will be writing import nodes router from routes, and then this file. So this is import declaration, so we don't need to use these, so it's actually conflicting with this, so we are already using the nodes router over here. So that's pretty much it we need to do for the configuration. If we have any other model, we might be creating another folder if we have the model, if we are using the MongoDB, but we are not using that since we are using this local data nodes.json file. All right, let me go through what I have done. So I've separated out these functions. These are the controllers. It contains the logic, and I'm exporting all of the stuff from here. And then I'm using all of those functions and add it over here. And then I'm actually exporting this one. I don't need this line as well, and exporting from here, and I'm using this particular routes over here, and then I'm actually using as a middleware in my index.ts file. Let's save all of these files and let's verify if our APIs are still working. And let's go over here, let's go to the get request, let's send, and yes, it is working fine. Let's add a new note. So I'm going to write bun over here, and I'm going to write a description. Bun is awesome. Okay, let's send. So new note is added. Let's verify if it's added over here. So let's save it, and yes, it is added. So our routes are working fine after the configuration that we have done. And if we APIs and backend is expanded, we can keep on creating different routing files, just like the settings route file, and we have analytics routes file, we have auth routes files for the users, and add the controller logic in the different file names for the controller. And we can then use it like this after importing, use it like this. So this is how we can optimize our routing system in Express using Bun. And that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that you have got an understanding how these things work in Bun. And it's quite awesome, it's quite fast, and you have already seen that after the installation it installs packages really fast. And I really like that. It's the first time I'm using this new technology, and I hope that I'll be using it in my next projects. If you have liked and learned something new from this video, do subscribe my channel and comment below if you have any question. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.